Welcome to the Orthocast. Today we have Demos on, our Orthodox meme squad. He's here to talk about his being raised Orthodox, he's Greek Orthodox, and also his channel. Eventually starting Orthodox meme squad, which I think is a great gateway for people. Like, people are just watching these memes, watching these chants. I love those chant videos he put together because I find so many good chants. It's a really good gateway to Orthodoxy, and I feel like that's addressing a need, because the biggest problem with Orthodoxy is just like getting the message out. A lot of people don't know about it, and your channel is a great gateway for them to start learning about Orthodoxy, because I feel like it's pretty clear. Once you learn about Orthodoxy, like, if you're going to be a Christian, you got to be an Orthodox Christian. And I use his clips in pretty much all of my videos because they're amazing. I'm not sure where you get them, but yeah. So what was it like being raised Orthodox? The cultural aspect, being Greek. I know they take a lot of, they're proud of being Orthodox. So yeah, what was it like being raised Orthodox?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And greatly appreciate it. And thank you for putting me in S tier on your other video. Appreciate that even more.
Yeah.
But well, being raised Orthodox. Problem is, I am Greek Orthodox. I was baptized Greek Orthodox in Athens.
Wow.
But my father saw it more as a cultural thing. Unfortunately, with a lot of credo Orthodox people, they tend to see it more as a cultural aspect of their lives, not really a religious aspect, unfortunately. So I wasn't really raised Orthodox.
Mhm.
My mom was ex-Protestant, but she was baptized Orthodox to marry my dad, basically, back in the
Oh.
day. So unfortunately, I didn't really get raised Orthodox. I wasn't raised with the church.
Oh, okay.
I all yeah, it's and I think that happens with a lot of people nowadays. In Orthodox countries, Greek Orthodox countries, Romanian, Serbian, whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, I had this idea of I am Orthodox, I'm baptized Orthodox, but I don't really know what it is. And
Yeah.
I really didn't discover anything until I was way older. Because I used to be this Christian that was like, oh, I don't need the church, I don't need these painted walls and the tainted windows and all that kind of stuff. I listened to a lot of people who were like, no, you don't need those people,
Oh.
as a lot of teens go through, I think.
Yeah.
The rebellious phase.
Hmm.
But yeah, Greek. Unfortunately, I didn't get raised Greek Orthodox with the church. I didn't enter a church until I was like 19,
Oh, okay.
um, after my baptism. Yeah. So, and that's the case with a lot of people nowadays, in Greece mainly. That I see that I talk to people, Greek people, and I'm like, I try to talk about their faiths.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't even know what Orthodoxy is really. They all think they're just, that it's an institution with priests that just take a lot of money, which is
Oh.
bogus, of course. But
Yeah.
that's what the stigma is in those countries, unfortunately. My dad hasn't entered a church since like the death of his aunt, unfortunately.
Mm.
And my mom isn't really. She's like kind of a new age slash Christian.
Oh no.
I tried.
Uh,
Yeah. I try to talk her out of it, but she's pretty stubborn, and
yeah.
she thinks I'm just in a phase, and I'm just being obsessive and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, like if you recognize that, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Unfortunately, not raised Orthodox, but I'm back now, which is
Yeah.
which is the most important thing.
Yeah. So basically, you were baptized as a kid. Nothing real. You never really went to church or anything. You kind of had your mind that you were Christian, but you never really knew what that meant. But then when you were 19, you started looking back into it, or you're like, what does it mean to be a Christian? And so you knew you were baptized Orthodox, so you started looking into it, basically.
Well, one gift I had was the passion for history,
Yeah.
and the passion of history ultimately led me to love of my own country,
Hmm.
of Greece, love of Greece, becoming a patriot. So I was starting to look into Greek history more and more, and I was a Christian as well. And then I was learning all these things about Orthodoxy and the impact it had on Greek history,
Yeah.
as well. So I was like, this church maybe is something good. So I tried to look into church history, as history is my passion, and I just came to the conclusion, wait a second, this church is really old. It's really ancient,
Yeah.
you know. I tried listening to, I started listening to Orthodox chants, and
Hmm.
um, that's how I really got like a passion for it. I was just like, I firstly started to listen to it to go to sleep, but
Yeah.
it grew out of that basically, and that's how I started learning more about the church, really out of my own, you know, out of my own interest for
Yeah.
history. That's how it all started.
Were you ever like, okay, what about Catholicism or Protestantism or Islam? I know like all of these things. There's all these factors since you live in Europe. Like,
Yes.
well, and Europe is very secular, so you're being kind of naturally led towards secularism, but you're kind of retouching with your roots and looking into history. But did you ever like consider like any other religion or anything? Or are you like looking into history and you're like,
Well,
wow, this,
at first, of course, I was more like a non-denominational Christian. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't need the church, and I also flirted with Islam for like a little while. Like
yeah,
I started listening to nasheeds because I thought, oh, they sound so beautiful and blah blah blah. But I always knew in my heart that I would never turn Islam because even though I wasn't Orthodox, I loved Christ,
yeah,
and a lot of events in my life also made me love Christ even more, even when I wasn't Orthodox. For example, I saw some stuff at night one day, paranormal stuff. I know it's dangerous,
yeah,
and then I got blessed by a priest in a Greek Orthodox church, even though I wasn't Orthodox. To never see those things again. So I was kind of considering different things, but I was kind of lazy, and I thought I don't need the church. So I only really flirted a little bit with Islam for a while, but as soon as I found Orthodoxy, I knew that is the right one. Catholicism never spoke to me at all, not even a bit.
yeah.
And Protestantism neither. It doesn't have the same substance Orthodoxy has. Of course, our church is like the most pure form
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
the original and ancient form
Hmm. It's
of
got,
Christianity,
yeah.
the church that Christ founded. So,
Hmm. It's got everything there. I think it really satisfies you as like a person, especially in
Mhm.
worship. Like just, it's just perfectly made, and it's like everything that you like would want in a perfect religion. It's there. So you started listening to like the chants and music. You were into the history, and then was it hard? Like, okay, I'm gonna start going to church again. Like I'm gonna wake up early and on Sunday, and it was hard for me at first. Like when I'm like, yes, intellectually I realize this is true and I should do this, but then actually forcing myself to go to church and wake up early. But what I love about the divine liturgy is like the more that you get involved with it and more you understand it, like it goes by so fast, and you just want to go to as many as possible. Like I love going to all the services and singing and participating, especially. Um, yeah. So yeah, how was it like realizing this is true in history, but then actually going and then starting to live like the Orthodox life?
just like you, it was pretty difficult.
Yeah.
I was used to this life of partying on Saturday evening or on Friday evening, and I started learning about it, but it took me quite a while to step into a church. Um, I used to be a tour guide in Athens,
Oh.
and I used to stop on the way of our tour in a church. So that's how I really like started going to church and like thinking about the beauty of this building. But it took me like 1 or 2 years to really start going to services.
Hmm.
And it was kind of scary for me because I think what a lot of catechumens go through, or like inquirers, I went through as well since
Yeah.
I haven't like I didn't go to a church since I was baptized. So it was really hard for me to like wake up in the morning indeed, but I just forced myself to basically go. And also going alone, especially since I have like um ADHD and all those type of stuff,
Yeah.
and it's kind of hard for me to go into new situations. So I really had to force myself to go. But as soon as I went, it was just so beautiful. I I I went at Orthros like the first time before liturgy because I didn't know about those things. I thought it was just part of liturgy.
Yeah.
But I was just like one of like three people there because in the morning it's
Oh
not very
yeah.
popular for a lot of people to go, unfortunately.
Hmm.
But it was just so beautiful. I just felt, this heavenly light in the church that it was just an amazing experiences. And I started going from there much more and even to Vespers as well.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't have to go to catechumen like a catechumen process like a
Hmm.
lot of people go through in America.
Yeah.
But I think it would be very good for like, you know, creative Orthodox that have never been to church like to join those programs as well. I didn't
Yeah.
because I started learning by myself and, you know, getting a spiritual father. So I learned from him as well. And I think
Yeah.
that would be a good thing for creative Orthodox in the future.
I think that's such an important point for everyone is just, once you're Orthodox to keep going to those catechism classes. If you were raised Orthodox, go to them because there's so much I mean, there's so much has happened in the history of Orthodoxy. Like you'll never know everything. And so like just going,
Hmm.
yeah, continue to go to those catechism classes are so important. I mean, I still go to them just cuz I'm like, wow, I didn't even know about that. And but yeah, I love those. So when did you
Yeah.
decide that, I want to, start posting some YouTube videos and memes, and you've been incredibly successful. Were
Well,
you into like video editing and everything before, or did you kind of like start making the memes and then with time you got good with the video?
let me tell you about the origin story. It all started on Facebook, kind of like a
Oh.
boomer. It
uh,
started on Facebook. So Orthodox Meme Squad was founded by not me actually, but a another guy on Facebook who's Croatian and Orthodox living in Canada. Uh, Shout out to Sasha. He's a great guy. Um, I was going into that orthosphere on Facebook. I don't know if you have Facebook, but there are like a lot of Orthodox groups on Facebook. Like there's a pretty big community there.
yeah.
So I started going in there and I saw like these memes of the faith. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me try. So I just started with basically, image memes, not videos.
Yeah.
So I started making images of Orthodoxy. There's a chance if you see a meme online, like 80% of all the memes, like the images are made by me. I just started making and pumping them
Wow.
out.
Yeah.
Um, I started pumping them out, and then I got noticed by him because there used to be like a group of people, and he was like the head
Yeah.
of that of Orthodox meme squad. That's why it's called a squad because there was like multiple people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got recruited by him, and eventually I was the only one that started making content and putting out content, and then he got more children, like,
Oh,
um, and he was like, "Well, it's your page now." So I started on Facebook.
yeah.
We had like 35,000 likes at that time.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty big. And then I started experimenting with video editing. I
Hmm.
didn't have any experience at all. Nothing. I just started making like simple videos,
Yeah.
very simple videos, and they got really popular at some time, in some period. But a lot of people wanted to download them,
Hmm.
so I was like, how can they download my videos? I was like, I always use this video, like YouTube downloader. I was like, oh, I'll just make a
Yeah.
channel and I
Yeah.
put them on there.
Yeah.
But then the videos on YouTube blew up. Like they blew up way more than on Facebook.
Wow.
Then everything was shifting. Like, my attention was shifting more to YouTube than Facebook. Because I also like my Facebook page got hacked by that time by someone from Pakistan. I never got the
Oh.
page back, thank you, Facebook. But
Dang. Wow.
yeah, so I had to make a new page, but the YouTube was growing very like very much, and then I started making videos weekly, and I had all these ideas like pumping in my head, like they were just shooting out of my brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just really learned along the way to video edit. Like I had never had a course or anything. I
Yeah.
started with like an easy video editor online, like Capwing.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Would
then
it?
I moved on from making really good, like better quality videos.
Yeah. That's how I got into video editing too. It's literally just practice, practice, practice. Like just you just have to
Mm,
do it a lot. I'm gonna try and make
yep.
a video on my channel in the future of like how to make YouTube videos because it's really simple. Like everyone should get started doing it so that you know they can
Oh,
spread
definitely.
this message, and it's really fun, and you get these really creative ideas. You've had you know so many good videos. Where do you find these like high quality Orthodox videos? Like I haven't, you know, I've been looking online, and it's like where do you end up finding them?
I'll tell you. So, unfortunately, most Orthodox footage, like the titles, are not in English.
Oh,
That's where it
true.
starts.
Yeah.
As you know, most Orthodox people are not English, like, or
Mm,
well versed in the English language. So where it
yeah.
starts is really looking on YouTube, for example, in the Russian language, in Greek language, in Romanian, Bulgarian, etc. That's how you find the good videos. And what you write in the bar is, for example, Russian documentary in Russian, a Russian Orthodox documentary or Greek Orthodox documentary, and then you filter on HD or HD and up, and that's how you find footage, basically.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. That's yeah, I should have thought about that. But and
Yeah,
so
and I, the
yeah.
same. Sorry, the same goes for the chants I'm finding.
Oh,
I
okay.
find
True.
chants in all these kind of languages, but I find them through searching in that particular language on YouTube. That's
Yeah.
basically how we do it.
I know there's so many good chants that the videos are in. It has a non-English title, so it's like harder to like share it. But like once you find it and then you know put it in the English language, so yeah, that's a very important thing. But
Hmm.
so now with you know your channel, you've branched out and now started the podcast. And so how has that
Oh
been?
yeah.
That's been really cool. I think you've been touching on some really key issues. Have you've had some great people on? I saw you've had Jim on. You've had Father Mikolai. Yeah, how is that?
Well,
Yeah, what's your goal with that?
I started that with a group of friends from the Discord, from my Discord server. It started as a joke, just between us talking about stuff. And I was like, you know, Milos, one of my friends, always talked about starting a second channel. So it's like, yeah, why not? It
Yeah.
was a new area for me. Being with my face on camera, I
Hmm.
wasn't like used to it at all, like you are, for example.
Yeah.
Um,
It
because
took
I
a
was
lot of
just making meme.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Like it's
Uh,
harder than it looks, guys. But
yeah.
um, meme edits, so it was never my face. But then, I started thinking there's there's not enough podcasts on YouTube about
Yeah.
orthodoxy.
Hmm.
You have one. I think Father Turbo Quills is one,
Yeah.
and there's a few others, but not a lot. And the more orthodox content, the better.
Hmm.
And this whole concept of having a group of friends talk about a subject with a guest was
Yeah.
really was a really nice thought. So we started that like a month ago, I think. And with the first channel, it got kind of popular, um, but we're still growing, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically how we started, and it's going pretty well. It's very hard managing everyone with different time zones.
I
To
bet.
the
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
for example, we have Carl who is in Australia, and then we have some people in Florida, Texas, Europe. So it's very hard, but
Wow.
it's going pretty well now.
Yeah. That kind of goes into my next question is in
Hmm.
America, I think Orthodoxy is growing a lot. I've seen a lot of young people start coming to my church, and I'm really optimistic about the future of Orthodoxy. Well, in the world in general, it's growing a lot. Orthodoxy it's all across the globe, but I think it's especially growing in America since like Protestantism and Catholicism they're just kind of like falling apart, and people want something solid. They want something traditional and conservative, and that's the Orthodox Church. They haven't watered down anything. So how has that been in Europe?
Not as good as the US. The US
Yeah.
always retained kind of like a Christian identity,
Mm-hmm.
even through all the liberal stuff. So it was much easier. It's much easier in America to grow, like orthodoxy, like traditional orthodoxy.
Yeah.
It's- Unfortunately, my country, I live in Holland, which a lot of you know is not the most faithful country in the world.
Yeah.
Um, it's very
Uh,
atheistic, and it's basically people are either atheist or Muslim, unfortunately. as a lot of Western European countries are nowadays. So it's not growing as much as in the States. That's why I love seeing people in the States converting. There's so many people
Yeah.
converting every single day, and the churches are filling up with converts, which is unfortunately not happening in Europe um, right now. For example, my church, I see maybe one or two Dutch people, like native Dutch people, and the rest are Greeks. Or um, in the other Greek church I went to was like just one, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very sad, but I just hope the internet makes that better, because the internet can be a blessing or a curse, depends on how you use it.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I cannot speak for the other countries, but on Discord, I can see that a lot of Western Europeans are getting interested in it,
Mm.
especially the ones that were formerly Protestant or Catholic,
Yeah.
mainly. But the biggest group in Europe right now are credos like me, credos that never experienced the church or left the faith for a while. For ex- I see a lot of Romanians, Greeks, even Russians. They're like, you made me come back to the faith that I was born into. And I think that's a very important part
Yeah.
for growth as well. A lot of people think only about growth in like converts and catechumens, but there's like this massive group of cradle people that
Yeah.
are starving for this wisdom of the church, this fulfillingness,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but are not getting it, and they never look to their own faiths, but sometimes through the internet they discover that the faith they know, well, at least they think they know, is very different.
Yeah. No, that's an important aspect is just retaining the people, who are born in like Western countries and they never really get to appreciate, what they had in their faith and their tradition. They just kind of, are like everyone else in the West, and then they'll become an atheist or something. So yeah, no, that's an important demographic is the people, is the Greeks, the Serbs, the Russians, the Romanians, everyone, the cradles. But yeah, so in your journey, who was like your favorite saint, or like what were you kind of focused on? Was it like the saints, or was there a certain book, or you're more like YouTubers, or like what kind of helped you the most? Was it like reading or watching stuff online, or
First of all, the community on Facebook was just amazing.
yeah,
A lot of people think it's just boomers on there. No, there's a lot of people that are like in their 20s on there as
really?
well, and they taught
Uh,
me so much. I want to give credits to them. They taught me so much, and then I started reading further. For example, the books by Callistus Ware
yeah,
uh, took me further into it. And I have a problem with reading books, but Orthodox books go easy.
yeah,
I started looking into my own name because in Greece we are named after our grandparents, but
oh,
some time in the history it was named after a saint. So I'm named after Saint Demosthenes, which is my full name, who was a martyr in the 19th century in Anatolia, where my family is originally from as well. So it really spoke to me. The Turks basically wanted to forcefully convert him to Islam. He was a fisherman, and then he refused, and they executed him for it. And I really resonated with him because I feel like having the faith here in the West, especially in this atheist country, they tried to spiritually execute me
yeah,
constantly around me. Um, so it really resonated with him, with his story. And then I like getting into apologetics too, debates on Facebook and stuff.
yeah,
I'm much more chill nowadays.
yeah,
But as a lot of people at the start of the journey to Orthodoxy, they get very fanatic,
mm-hmm.
apologetics and stuff like that. So I really liked Saint Mark of Ephesus. I read
Oh yeah,
a great book called Orthodox, Roman Catholicism and the Defenders of Orthodoxy, which is a great book, talking about the differences and why Roman Catholicism is wrong. And there was a big part about Saint Mark of Ephesus, who is a champion of Orthodoxy and stood his ground. And that really resonated with me as well, because I was debating a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, and of course the church fathers, which are absolutely amazing when you read the Bible and their interpretations. Because I hadn't really read the Bible when I was a teen, but I read like passages or verses, and I always interpreted it by myself, like the most Protestants do
Yeah.
nowadays. I didn't even know about this whole concept of the church fathers at all, or saints. I didn't believe in saints because they're just human. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I was gonna say you kind of touched on an important point. Is like I think when you convert to something and like it's kind of like a reaction to the world. Like the world, it just seems like so evil and so what we're around is just very. They don't really care about religion. It's very atheistic. It is a lot of pressure put on us. And yeah, you may have that like convert zeal and be very excited about it and want to get straight into apologetics and everything. But that's why I always try and emphasize that you should always try and have a sustainable faith. Like you don't want to like become Orthodox as a reaction to the world and you're like really excited about it for like maybe like a few months or like a year, and then you kind of just you give it all up. Like I know a lot of people that I've seen online, because of Andrew Tate and all this, they'll become Muslim and they'll get really into it and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm a devout Muslim, and they'll do it for like a week or two and then they'll just like completely
yeah,
abandon it. So the good thing about Orthodoxy is it's supposed to like you need the time to set in. That's why the catechumen classes are supposed to be long, so you really know what you're getting into and like just taking your time and not overdoing it, because it can like not overdoing it with like prayer or reading or what you're consuming. Like you should have other hobbies and stuff because you want it to be a permanent lifestyle change, because I
hmm
think those are the good things in life, that when they're permanent lifestyle changes instead of just like something temporary. Orthodoxy, when you convert, you should make sure you have a sustainable faith and not be overreactionary and overzealous about it. You became really zealous and started.
Oh, I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, I did. It was part of a learning process. I think a lot of people go through that phase.
Hmm.
It's a phase where you learn a lot. I'm not going to lie, because you
Yeah,
learn a lot about the faith and the theology and the Christology. And um, I mainly debated with Protestants, Orientals, for example.
yeah,
So yeah, I was really zealous in the beginning. I was getting into these heated debates, and then I started, reading more about the saints, and I realized, you need to stay more cool,
yeah, and
and
be
and
humble.
sometimes just,
Yeah,
yeah, sometimes just not react.
exactly.
Just don't act.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though they're wrong, just let it be.
yeah,
If they really want to learn, they will learn. Debates don't like a lot of debates online, at least, usually don't amount to anything.
yeah,
They might, but a lot of times it makes people, more agitated, or a-
yeah.
become more angry
Hmm.
at the other, you know,
Exactly.
uh, part.
Because you're not gonna really convince your opponent in the debate. You're trying more to win over the audience, and it's not like
Yeah.
you're gonna win over the entire audience. What's realistic is that you will plant a seed. Someone's watching that debate, and you'll plant a seed, and maybe they'll think about these things. So it's just
Yeah.
like everything in our culture is geared towards like you're instantly gonna be like believe something because it's true, like like instantly. But orthodoxy is all about time and just letting things settle and being calm. And like I think one way this is reflective is when I was watching a lot of Orthodox videos, how much extreme depth they go into, like when they're talking about the Bible and theology. I mean, they're not like short videos, they're like 5 hour long videos. And on my channel, I'm just trying to be like an intro to like for the other people, like give people like some surface level introduction to orthodoxy and point them to the 5 hour videos, because like it's just a lot. It's going to take time, but it's totally worth it. So yeah, I think patience is so
Mhm.
important, and just yeah, just and being humble, like even to someone who is a heretic, like a Protestant or a Catholic, like you need to be patient with them and pray
Yeah.
for them. That's really important.
I want to touch on what you said about planting the seed, because I,
Yeah.
I I saw your encounters with Bobby's perspective,
Yeah.
and I just saw that he posted a thing on his community about wanting to talk to a priest, an Orthodox priest, about some stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe your whole encounter, I don't know if you've seen it already. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I saw the post. Yeah, he was looking for like an
Yeah.
Orthodox priest.
Maybe you planted that little seed in him, which maybe starts him going back to his
Yeah.
faith of his parents. You don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you made a really good point.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Bobby. You know, we can pray for him.
Hmm.
I don't know what exactly his real motive is, or maybe he really does believe Islam, but at least to me, it just seems like he's just doing it because Islam it's very popular to talk
Yeah.
about Islam. It gets a lot of views, but
Well, it's a simple faith as well, you know. It's for the
yeah.
simple-minded, I always say.
So, what are your plans for the future? You know, you want to keep making Orthodox Meme Squad and growing the podcast. Yes, yes. Yeah. Any big plans you want to, get into apologetics and make your own or do
I
any? Oh,
I think there's a lot of people that are very good for apologetics, for
yeah,
like Jay Dyer, like Jeem, like uh the Haggards, for example.
yeah,
I'm not gonna focus on that because there's enough of that already.
yeah,
I'm just gonna focus on being the entry point for people,
mm,
especially Gen Z. I'm mainly
yes,
focusing on Gen Z.
yeah,
I know a lot of older people enjoy my videos as well, and that's why I try to make diverse content. For example, the beauty of Greek Orthodoxy, or videos I make,
yeah,
or the chant videos, or memes. Like the memes are more
yeah,
towards, like, teens, for
yeah,
example. But yeah, I'm just trying to make whatever comes into my head. That's really how I make videos.
yeah,
uh, for example, I take a shower and I'm like, oh, that's an idea.
yeah,
And I try to make that. And I also react to actuality. So, for example, I did an edit on the hockey player yesterday, the
hmm,
NHL hockey player, and I made a little edit about him and the Russian Orthodox faith.
yeah,
So it's kind of random, but I try to make these chant videos every single, like every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I try to cover as much languages as possible because I think orthodoxy is for everyone.
yeah,
So, for example, I have chants about, native Alaskan Orthodox chants, which people thought they don't even exist, but they
mm,
do. So I'm trying to reach people all over the world
yeah,
with these kind of videos. And for about the podcast, it's really fun to do. I really like to talk about
mm,
orthodoxy. It's more about explaining things and have a little discussion about it. We also do a little sidecast, it's basically a 10 to 15 minute video explaining um, things about orthodoxy, like why are we Orthodox Christian? What do you do when there's no Orthodox church near you? What
yeah,
is the Eucharist? Like very short videos, like you're trying to do as
mm,
well, explaining stuff.
yeah.
We're still beginners, but we get better every single video. So the plan is just to continue doing that, having more guests on, including you. Um, you know,
Yeah.
Orthodox YouTubers, priests, people that are like converted from a different kind of faith. Keep on making videos, keep on making content to attract more people to the faith.
Yeah. And that's what we need more of those entry point. That's what I'm trying. Like, I don't know everything. Like, but
Neither do I.
yeah, yeah. I mean, none of us do, but yeah, I think that being that entry point for people is so important. Like maybe that, video about the Russian hockey player, someone will watch that because it'll show up in their recommended. Then they check out your other videos. Then they're like it's all about, planting the seed and being the entry point because it like, there's so many things like if
Mhm.
I never like clips channels, can help so much like these short things because then it exposes people. I think this is a good place to end it. Did you have any final thoughts? I think this is really good. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for your work.
Thank you for having me so much. I want to thank you too for making the videos because your videos are helping as well.
Yeah,
And don't underest. I want to end with don't underestimate the power of beauty as well.
yeah,
The beauty of our church buildings, the beauty of our chants. It really attracts people. So that's how I want to end it.
it does. Beautifully said. Thank you. God bless.